As a customer experience speaker and consultant, I'm always analyzing the level of service I receive when I'm out in the world as a customer. I'm actually a very easy and forgiving customer, but I'm still watching and listening because there are often stories or examples I can use in a presentation or a video post. In this video, I share 4 learnings from a single store experience. Hello, I'm Dennis Snow, and this is Speaking of Service Excellence. I believe that it's a good business practice to analyze what's happening around you when you're a customer. Notice what's happening in terms of the service you're receiving. Whether the service is good, bad, or indifferent, there are always opportunities to learn from what you're experiencing. If it's good or excellent service, take a moment to determine why it's so good, and think about how you can apply what you're seeing or hearing to your own role. If it's bad or indifferent service, think about whether you're ever guilty of those behaviors in your own role and vow to eliminate them from your approach. I was recently in a store and found it was a goldmine of examples of what not to do. The service wasn't bad, it was indifferent. I didn't feel valued as a customer. I felt like I was more of an interruption. When I entered the store, there were 2 employees who saw me. Neither one offered a friendly greeting. They just continued their conversation. As I wandered the aisles looking for what I was shopping for, no one offered help, even though it was clear that I was searching. When I approached an employee for help finding the product, he replied, "I think that's on aisle 10, and went back to stocking shelves with his huge cart right in the middle of everything. This indifferent service kept up throughout my entire store experience. Again, no one was outright rude. It's just that I didn't feel that anyone was happy that I was there. Again, I felt like I was more of an interruption than welcome. I will say that the cashier told me to have a nice day, but it was as he was turning away from me to the next customer, and it sounded more robotic than sincere." As I mentioned earlier, my store experience was a masterclass in customer service. Turning each of the interactions to focus on what should have happened, I concluded, number 1, a warm, sincere greeting is important if customers are to feel welcome. It takes almost no effort to make eye contact, smile, and say hello. And yes, even while wearing a mask, people can tell if you're smiling. Number 2, offer assistance to customers who obviously need help. And even if it's not obvious, it's nice to hear an employee say, "Just let me know if you need help with anything." Number 3, when you can, take the extra step of guiding customers to the product or information they need. Customers truly appreciate that extra step. And number 4, a fond farewell at the end of the interaction instills the desire for me to come back. It can be something as simple as, "See you next time." It creates a warm feeling. So there you have it. 4 customer experience lessons from a single store visit. If I was leading a team meeting, I could share this story, discuss the lessons learned, and ask participants how these lessons apply to their own roles. Even better, I could ask attendees to share their own stories and learnings, which encourages them to keep their customer experience antenna up whenever they're out in the world. So here's something to think about. What's a recent customer service experience you've had, and what can you or others learn from that experience? In a recent post, I shared the initial training that all new Walt Disney World cast members attend, a 1-day program called Disney Traditions. It's a key program for communicating what the Walt Disney organization is all about. But you can't just provide a motivating program, assume everyone gets the message, and then send people off to do their jobs. On-the-job training is a vital part of successful onboarding. If done well, Disney's on-the-job training makes a connection between what new cast members learned in Disney Traditions and how those concepts apply in the specific job the cast member will be performing. If done poorly, on the other hand, there's a disconnect between what that motivating first day showed and what follows. So the on-the-job trainer is a key component of Disney's success formula. Hello, I'm Dennis Snow, and this is Speaking of Service Excellence. To this day, I remember my first Disney trainer, Jeff. I was excited because the Disney Traditions program made me feel like I was going to be part of something special. I had a role in the show and was eager to start my training at the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea attraction. Jeff did everything in his power to build on my excitement while showing me how to operate the attraction. The training lasted 3 days and covered everything from safety procedures, how to operate the submarines that never actually went underwater, and how to load passengers on the sub, how to unload passengers from the sub, and the many other technical aspects of the job. Every step of the way, Jeff was there guiding me through the various procedures of the job. But Jeff also guided me through the Disney aspects of the job. He reinforced the concepts that I learned in Disney traditions like good show, bad show, backstage, onstage, treat every guest as a VIP, etc. As we would transition from the backstage area to onstage, he would do a quick check to make sure that my costume or uniform looked good, my name tag was on, and that I was show ready. Jeff also loaned me a biography of Walt Disney. Now, he told me it wasn't required reading, but suggested that the stories would better connect me to the Disney organization. And he was right. Since then, I think I've read every book about Walt Disney. Jeff inspired that passion. Now, keep in mind, this all happened over 40 years ago. And while some of the technical details may have faded over time, the Disney aspects of the job have stayed with me. Jeff made a powerful impression. When I work with organizations on implementing a service culture, I stress the importance of the on-the-job training and how it should reflect the culture and values of the organization. While it's certainly important to teach the technical skills, it's just as important to teach the attitudinal skills. Trainers should be carefully chosen, not only for their technical abilities, but also for their ability to model and reinforce the organization's culture. Don't just stick a new hire with the most convenient person. Being selected as a trainer should be an honor. I remember when I was selected as a trainer at Walt Disney World, I was required to go through a one-day train the trainer program before I was allowed anywhere near the new cast members. There, I learned about different learning styles and best practices for ensuring my trainees absorbed the training that I was delivering. That one-day train the trainer really opened my eyes to how important it was for me to teach not only technical skills, but also continually reinforce the Disney culture. So here's something to think about. How are the on-the-job trainers selected in your organization? Are they carefully chosen as role models, or are they simply the most convenient? In any service situation, there are words that can enhance the customer experience and words that can destroy the customer experience. In this video, I share 4 words that should never be uttered in any way, shape, or form. Hello, I'm Dennis Snow, and this is Speaking of Service Excellence. In my book, Lessons from the Mouse, a guide for applying Disney World's secrets of success to your organization, one of the sections of the book focuses on 4 words that should never be spoken. In fact, the chapter's title contains the 4 words. Never ever say, "That's not my job." Don't even think it. When I reflect back on my years working with Disney, I remember how clearly it was communicated that saying anything close to "that's not my job" was just about the quickest way to end your Disney career. As cast members or employees, we were expected to do what it took to get the job done. No excuses or passing the buck. And getting the job done included keeping the place clean. It's every cast member's job to pick up trash off the ground, regardless of role or title. And what do you think is the #1 guest compliment about Disney World? If you guessed how clean the place is, you would be right. But the fact remains that the "that's not my job" syndrome is alive and well in business today. I see it and hear it all the time, and my guess is you probably do too. Sometimes it's blatant and sometimes it's subtle, but it's there. It reveals a lack of care or ownership on the part of the employee and results in frustration on the part of the customer. Now, while the employee might not come right out and say, "That's not my job," the sentiment is implied by what they do say or do. Here are a few ways in which the "that's not my job" syndrome rears its ugly head. Number 1, lack of eye contact. Have you ever been wandering through a store looking for someone to assist you, and you see an employee quickly walking down the aisle, eyes down, avoiding any kind of eye contact with customers? Sure you have. That employee's body language is saying, it's not my job to help you. I'm too busy. Sometimes they even pretend not to hear you when you say, excuse me. It's infuriating, and it's a loyalty killer. I've had this happen to me in many restaurants as well. Number 2, passing the buck. After explaining your problem to an employee, they say, you'll have to go to XYZ department to get it solved. That employee has just told you that solving your problem is not their job. It's someone else's job. Number 3, saying, I don't know. You ask a question and the employee replies with a simple, I don't know, without any offer to find the answer out. What that employee just said to you is it's not his or her job to answer your question or to find out the answer. At Disney, saying, I don't know, without following up with, but let me find out, was completely unacceptable. It was the cast member's job to find out. Number 4, the cold transfer. After explaining your question or issue over the phone to an employee, she says, I'm going to transfer you to the department that handles that. And after being on hold for seemingly forever, someone finally answers, this is John, can I help you? Leaving you to explain the question or issue all over again. What that first employee was really saying is, you're no longer my problem, you're John's problem. In other words, it's not my job. Now, I'm not implying that every employee is responsible for doing every job. That would not only be impractical, it would be impossible. What I am saying is that it's every employee's job to make sure the customer is taken care of. If the employee can't solve the issue, it should be his or her job to take ownership of the issue until the right person or department takes over, and not abdicate responsibility 1 second before that happens. A good way to get this ownership mindset going would be to address it in one of your team meetings. Have your employees brainstorm the many ways the that's not my job syndrome manifests itself. You might want to use one or more of the examples that I mentioned earlier to prime the pump. Once you have a good list, then have employees brainstorm actions or words that would communicate ownership of the issue to the customer. Maybe even role play different scenarios to make sure that everyone has it down. I can always tell when I'm dealing with an employee who takes ownership of a situation. There's a confidence in their approach that generates trust that my issue will be handled with little or no hassle, and that's a loyalty builder. So here's something to think about. How does the it's not my job syndrome manifest itself in your organization? And what can you do about it?